all around it like a damn, it looked like a hubcap with holes all in it, like the mag rims. Try eating some grits off some, you know. But anyway, they said that they got the same one. And so he explains about how the Egyptians used to make this pyramid down to a so-called spaceship that they said the god Ptah came down in. Now it's interesting because he was saying this, he was reading, and he said, that they did it up until the first intermediate period, and they stopped it. He said then some people came and robbed and took all this particular spaceship stuff, and he said, Zechariah 50 said, we believe it's under the bottom of the damn Kaaba in Mecca. He said, and now we see the same pilgrimage that the Egyptians used to do every year. The Muslims make hard to do the same pilgrimage under the Kaaba in Mecca. And he said that, and it's interesting because Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it ain't about the Kaaba. He says there's a room that they got up under the Kaaba. They got a whole bunch of shit. Now that's amazing to hear Zechariah 50 said, and remember what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said based on there was some shit up under there that they're not showing people and all this type of stuff. And he said he believed that the rest of the spaceship, other than the wheel that they got in, he believes that the rest of that ship is up under the Kaaba in Mecca. Yeah, he alludes to that in Stairway to Heaven. I think it's Stairway to Heaven and all that type of stuff. He alludes to that particular part and all. But now, Zechariah Sitchin came out with his first book in 2 years later after the Sirius mystery. And he was trying to still cover up the whole thing on what Robert Temple had did in this book, the Sirius mystery, which is one of the key books that we should always look through because I find a lot of stuff up in there. Now, dealing with that, we also have to deal with this. Still to this day, the European is going by one time, doggone time. That's it. That's the time that they're going by. Now, I also mentioned on my first tape, and Dr. Delbert Blair mentioned it when he came to Atlanta for the first time. Somebody asked him, what are some of the key dates? And he said, 1997. That's what Dr. Delbert Blair said. I mentioned, because we got two types of messages. We got the Dogon did their first secret ceremony in 1937, then we got to get it in 1934. But whatever the deal was, we got that, but it was really kind of hard when we found out when these people did this sacred dance. But one of the keys is, when I had this psychic over, I was asking her about the Dogon and when it was this next psychic dance, and she told me, and I didn't listen, or I think I did listen, I said it on my first tape. She said that one of the key things is 97, but they're not telling people that. The sister from Chicago said that. So we still ain't out of this yet, and it's got a lot of good stuff to actually have to deal with that. Because even in the book, this book, 777, is a number of the Dagon, which is the fish people, which is, if you go and look at any encyclopedia, they got the Dagon up in there, which is the fish people, which is a must-have. You must have the 777 if you're going to break down any numerical breakdown, because this is coming from the Kabbalah, but they got it from Greece. They got it out of some leftover fragments from the the Library of Alexandria. I've seen the actual decipher manuscript that they got this book from, and Crawley took it and made 777 from it. But they got it from some shit out of Africa. So this book is every numerical breakdown that you need is in there, and it's probably the best one to work with. That one is probably the best one to work with on the numerical breakdown. But some people open it up and they get confused because they'll look at the first couple of pages, but it doesn't start. You can't break it down until it starts. It doesn't start until you get to this page called the Table of Correspondence, which is something after 20-something or 30-something pages. And that's when the actual part starts and all, Table of Correspondence and all. And that's very key. Now, let's deal with this. We also deal with cycles on, anytime you're at a certain juncture in history, you also got to look at what happened 10 or 20 years ago. at that time to try to understand what's going on. So we do know that 10 years ago, in October, you had Black Tuesday, which is White Tuesday for us, but which scared the shit out of the white boys. So, hey, that's a sign. 20 years ago, you had, because we know that the Indians got the sacred science on the white buffalo. And they was waiting on the white buffalo that was born on a farm in Milwaukee in 1994. 20 years ago, Charles Bronson did a movie called White Buffalo with the girl Kim Novak. But it's interesting. The movie was produced by a guy named Dino De Laurentiis, which is the guy who did Dune. He did Dune, he did Conan, and he did other things. And his name is Dino De Laurentiis, who was the guy who produced Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune. And the White Buffalo. Now the mystery on that is this about the White Buffalo. There's some prophecy up in there. Number one, they told Crazy Horse, they said, until you kill the White Buffalo, your name is Worm.
That's right. Call him Worm.
Call him Worm. And he had to go get his manhood back. But he said some prophets up, and he said, okay, we got together to kill this White Buffalo, but the next time we meet, told a white boy that, he ain't going to be no motherfucking friend shit. Never again shall we meet under these circumstances. That's right. Next time I'm coming in, it's we on the warpath.
That's right.
Right. But this is the spiritual part. The spiritual part is we know why Dino De Laurentiis decided to do it in the year of 1977. Because 1977 was the 100th year anniversary of the death of damn Crazy Horse.
Okay. Okay.
Which, this was 120 years anniversary after the death of Crazy Horse. And the 100th year anniversary of the death of Crazy Horse, they had to take a motherfucker ass, so they took damn Elvis ass. A fucking life for a life. So the next year, get another cracker. They took old Diana ass. Life for a life. And Mother Teresa. Life for a life. Everything is in a cycle. They killed my man Crazy Horse, and that's what happened. And I guarantee you, every cracker died. Go and line up the years. You will see that they had murdered a certain black man at that particular time. And everybody knows when you look at the original Indians at that time, they was black as you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
No white man looking motherfuckers.
That's right.
So, but that's a 120-year cycle this year. Now, the Diana thing is more important than Elvis. Because it's 120 years after Crazy Horse's death. They made a movie to commemorate his death, the White Buffalo. And you know the White Buffalo is all dealing with the Christ energy.
Right.
120-year cycle is the birthday of Osiris in Egypt. 120 years, 2 times 60. 60 years is worth, that's the Hemmitt ceremony, which is the end of eternity. Because eternity got an end when it comes to the white boy forever and ever.
That's right.
Because it ain't real down here. So now, the 120-year cycle, every 120-year cycle, something occurred, and this whole thing that went down with Diana is all dealing with that whole Crazy Horse shit, too. It's all in a cycle. Very key that you understand that particular part. There's a whole chapter in this book on the 120-year cycle and all of that particular part of the birthday of Osiris in the rising of the serpent tooth in the Sirius mystery, and also one in there called Why Every 60 Years in the back in the appendix. Very key that you understand that, too. So the Bible mystery. The Bible mystery in Genesis 32:30. Genesis 32:30, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 25. Go and rent the movie King David, Richard Gere, 1985. In the movie, they say 2 people saw God, Moses and Solomon. Moses represents Tahuti in Egyptian, and Solomon represents Amun-Ra and Osiris, which in them cases, hell, those 2 are God. But anyway, The face of God that they saw, and his name was Penuel. Penuel, which is pineal. P-E-N-A-E-L. Penuel, that's Penuel, that's how it is in the Bible. L means sun, S-U-N, and S-O-N. Or star, or the star-head one. Pen means penis. L means sun. So it means the seed of Ra, the seed coming from the sun. But we know that the pineal is the second penis that's both in male and woman, male and female, which is in the brain. And from that shoots the seed of Ra, or the seed of God, the seed of Allah, whatever, which is melanin. So pineal, you get that in the Bible, in Genesis 32, but pineal is P-E-N-A-E-L in the Bible, Penuel, or Penuel in the Bible. You'll get that in Genesis 32:30, 1 Corinthians 4, 4, chapter 4, verse 4, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 25. Jacob, which also was the black body, wrestled with pineal, a Penuel, a pineal. Pineal in the Bible means the face of God. God is also in Greek. Heru, or Horus, means the great face, or the great hero of God, the face of God. But they mention that in the movie King David. So read the movie King David with Richard Gere and go back and try to correlate a lot of the stuff in the African history and correlate a lot of the stuff of our fall, Israel in exile. Because that's us. But it's all in that actual movie at that particular time, in that particular time, and all. Now, David slew Goliath with a pebble. Goliath means the United States. With the pebble, well, what is the pebble? What is the pebble?
Melanin.
It's the third eye, melanin. In alchemy, melanin is called the philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone. So the stone and the pebble is what flew. It's metaphysical. It means that the energy inside of you, when it gets to a certain level, it's like a subatomic nuclear energy. Go back and look at the movie Men in Black when they were talking about that. Are they disturbing y'all in there or something? Look at the movie Men in Black when they talk about that little ball on the cat. They say subatomic energy. That was talking about us. You see what I'm saying? That was talking about us. So David slew Goliath. Now, I want to show you something here. Go and rent the movie. Go back and rent the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. Or you can get the book Signed in the Seal by Graham Hancock, which is a book, Anyway, you will see on the top of the Ark of the Covenant two angels with two wings on the top of the Ark of the Covenant. In Egypt, you will see Maya with the two wings. The two angels with the two wings on the top of the Ark of the Covenant is actually the goddess Maya, which we also know that the Ark of the Covenant in Egypt was called the chest of Osiris. You see, the chest of Osiris. And Osiris was cut up into 14 pieces. That's 14 pieces of your mind, or 14 dimensions of your mind being chopped in half. That's why we schizophrenic. Well, 13 pieces. The 14th piece being the penis, which is the pineal gland, which, once it comes into play, it brings the other 13 pieces back into oneness, and you have a covenant of God. The covenant one. You see what I'm saying? But that's the chest of Osiris. It ends up becoming in the mysteries of Moses, Moses supposedly had put the tablets into the chest of the Ark of the Covenant. Now go back into Exodus when Moses went to the mountain and the Moabs was rebelling and doing, going all crazy when he went up on the mountain to receive the 10 Commandments. When he came down, what did he do? He took the 10 Commandments and he broke them in half, in the stone. Then he mixed them up and made them drink it. See, it's metaphysical. It's talking about alchemy. In this case, he broke up the stone and he mixed the shit up and it was bitter, and he made them drink. You ever heard this thing? Made them drink it. That's alchemy, and that's also representing the melanin. Mixing it up. So the drinking is not necessarily physical drinking. It's talking about tapping into that particular melanin. So the tablet of the 10 Commandments is also the Cosmic record that your soul already knows. Y'all getting this? Yeah. You see.
Melchizedek. Melanin,
that's right. You got it, man. Yeah. Melchizedek, the melanated ones. You got it, man. You got it. You got it, black man. Okay, going on with this here. They said the white boys came on and said it took them 500 years to complete the Bible the way they got it now. And not only that, they said that there is less stuff on the teachings of Jesus in the whole Bible. Yet everybody talking about Jesus is the way. They said it's hell. There's less stuff on the teachings of Jesus than it is in the goddamn thing. In the Bible.
It's more about Jesus than the Quran than it is in the Bible.
The key is they were saying that there's a whole different scholarly view. There's a whole different thing in scholarship on Jesus than it is in the popular view of Jesus, based on the way they're doing this stuff based on the way they teach it to you in the seminary, based on church. Now let's deal with the science on this. In the top of the Kabbalah, let me get a picture of a Kabbalistic breakdown. Y'all bear with me 1 minute. I got one right here. Good one right here. Let's see if we can find this here. Put it on the tape. See if I got one right here. Hold on, here's the one. Deal with this one. In the top of the Kabbalah, which is the real cross, you see 3 triads. 3 triads. When you see the movie Men in Black, they're going to show you Orion's belt, and there's 3 stars in Orion's belt. Sirius being the main star. You see 3 triads. This also represents the 3 wise men. You see. Also represents the left brain, the right brain, and the pineal gland, which is in the middle, which overrides the left and the right brain and bring them two into play. Like I was telling you about your brain being a chief and transmitting to you unreal shit on this dimension that don't exist nowhere. And your brain is transmitting only because your brain said, but that's because the other second brain hadn't come into play yet, which is the pineal area, to let you see into the invisible world. The invisible world. There's a book called Seeing Through the Visible World. Seeing Through the Visible World by June Singer. Seeing Through the Visible World by June Singer. You know. But you got 3 triads, which is the 3-star mystery, the 3 triads of the Kabbalah, also represents the 3 great pyramids in Egypt, 3 stars in Orion Belt. There's 3 stars in Orion Belt. And also, it also represents the 3 crosses at Calvary. See how the Christian mystery, they stole all that shit? The 3 pyramids is also the same 3 Christian crosses at Calvary. You see what I'm saying? And you see that particular part. But it's also talking about, and Jesus is on the middle cross, right? So it's talking about left brain, right brain, pineal gland. Or frontal lobe also. You see, or pineal gland, which is the real face of God. But it's also talking about in your body. Is what it's talking about, and how this stuff is all, this Christian symbology is all broke down, and you thinking somebody died at Calvary, and that whole 9 yards for you and all that. So let's go on. see what we got here. Did I mention to you the last time about the Etruscan man? I got a book called Greek and Roman Religion. They sell them at Barnes and Nobles in the little, they got a little discount section where they print their own books brand new and they sell them for like $6 or $5, hardback. Anyway, they got this book called Greek and Roman Religion. I can't think of the guy's name, but in there, he showed a prophecy. He said when Julius Caesar died, they had this, I think like a year later they had like a jubilee, what was it, an annual celebration or whatever, or memorial or whatever, and there was an Etruscan man up in there, which is the original black people that was in that area that started both Greece and Rome. It gave them the culture, showed them how to build the buildings, and the religion, the Zeus and all that stuff is a black religion. That's just the names changed from the Egyptian shit. Mm-hmm. But anyway, the Etruscan man stood up and they was all going crazy because they thought that they would be redeemed because it was the end of the world because there was some comet that was going down at that time. And he told them, he said, no, that is not the comet. Y'all always got stuff thrown off. He said there's going to be a comet that's going to come years later, thousands of years later in the end time. A series of comets. He said there's going to be a last comet. And that's going to be the one at the end of the world. And to show you I'm not lying, I'm going to show you a bit of prophecy right now. He fell out and died. You see. Anyway, it's in that particular, it's an actual historical thing that the guy said this about the comet and all of this right there in that book, Greek and Roman Religion. 2 volumes in one. Because I'm finding out now that you got to study all of it. Because all of it's black. The white man didn't invent nothing. So the Greek shit, the Roman stuff, you know, they had the white people, but they came in and colonized. The ancient indigenous people was there, and that's how they learned this stuff. You got to study all of it at this particular time. You see what I'm saying? At that time. You see. So that's very key. You should understand that at that particular time. Now, there's also some prophecies based on that star that's in the Nostradamus stuff based on that last comet, which also in Peter Limish's book say, well, you'll know the end. One great star will have to appear in the sky and the whole world would have to see it at once. So obviously, that's talking about something at a cosmic proportion. Also in the Kabbalah here, in the Kabbalah here, A.E. Waite's Kabbalah, here they talk about a star and a flame. The flame will come up and try to overtake the star. That's the actual comet, but the star will be victorious in the end. That also represents the Kundalini energy in your body coming up and raising up to the black dot energy, which also ignites the star in your head also too. That's also in the mystic trends of Judaism by Arnold Posey. In that particular book also it talks about that also. In the Merlin mysteries, they talk about the dragon's tail. You will know the end when you see the dragon's tail. Well, the dragon's tail is also talking about this comet coming in the future. The dragon's tail. This comet coming in the future. To understand more about the dragon, get Dragonheart. Good movie. You see that? Yeah. Dragonheart with Sean Connery and that whole 9 yards. That whole 9 yards. So what you want to do? You want to take a break? You want to keep on going? Or whatever? Because we got 25 and we on 13. So we'll take a break. We come back. We go because as it go on, we get into deeper and deeper mystery. Check. You got it? Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I wrote it down. I just,
down at the Reading Terminal. Yeah.
oh, the brother that
Yeah. He's selling.
so you found out about that.
Yeah, I think that's one down there because I've been coming to visit.
Oh, okay. He got a lot.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Y'all ready? Is that on?
What about that one?
Is that camera on there? No. Well, where my man at? Did they leave?
I told him not to try to put it in. Let me try to
Take it out back.
You don't want it?
Push the red button.
Maybe she paused it. She did. You turned it off. Yeah, that's the pause. Push on. On. Oh, you put the pause off. So it should be on.
Looking in now.
Oh.
Yes, microphone.
Do you know how to work it?
It'll work.
You got it.
You got it
I
on?
don't see the light on.
Yeah, because I don't see,
Do you see the record one? It says record in there.
I can't even see mine.
He used the flashlight to look in there.
Yeah. But you have to be able to see through. Oh, he put a lens on. Yeah.
No.
No.
No, it's not on.
No?
There should be one button.
He used the flashlight to be read.
Yeah, you can see it. It is. But then you're supposed to be able to see bodies.
Yeah. Once you turn on, when you look through there, it should say record.
Even if you push the record, you can't.
Well, did he leave?
Thing out.
Or you want to get down with the chill?
Is it on?
And push the red button once it's turned on.
You know, it's flashing. The button is not on.
It ought to be one, but turn the safety off.
I'm turning this thing off. Power.
I know he was using a
There you
flashlight.
go.
There it is.
That's it.
All right.
It's an arrow going on in there. We just
Let's push it. It say record.
okay, Robert.
Is it adjusted? Because y'all was
Yeah, I got it.
I mean,
All right, we on.
Okay. All right, what we're going to deal with right now, we're going to go into some, we back after a good old meal. We're going to go into some,
Fleece time.
the Golden Fleece. A good book is Robert Gray's Golden Fleece, if you could ever get a hold to it. Or you can get the Sirius mystery where they go into the Golden Fleece also. But to get a hold of it, you always go into the, go get the movie, The Golden Fleece. Jason and the Argonauts, 1963, and all. Like I told you, that the ship that the Golden Fleece, they picked strong heroes from Greece to go in that ship, which also represents, we know that the best of slaves came from Africa. They picked the best of slaves to come over here and work this land. So the Golden Fleece is a multiple dimensional mythology. It also represents a slave ship, as well as a mothership, prophesied by the messenger. It represents all of those particular things. Now, like I said the last time I was here, that if you go and see the movie, which is real prophecy, because the great mother of Greece is called Hera, wife of Zeus. And the great mother, Jason was on the ship, and the ship didn't have a name. When you go get the movie Jason and the Argonauts, 1963. Same guy who produced the movie produced Clash of the Titans, which is another 1981. But anyway, what happened was the ship didn't have a name. And so the guy who actually built the ship said, well, I'm sorry. He said that basically what happened was that the Spirit just told me to put this statue up here. And the statue happened to be the mother of the goddess Hera, who vowed to look after Jason. So that you'll understand that the ship was called a mother ship. Because it was the statue was Hera, it was Hera's ship, which is the mother ship. Which is the same, if you go to Isis, you'll see Isis is the head of a bark in a celestial scene, which is dealing with the mother ship, because it's also dealing with prophecy. And then Honorable Elijah Muhammad comes in talking about the mother ship. But it was also a slave ship, which represents, they took the best of the black people and they put them over here because the Lost Foundation is the head of the whole black race, for the simple fact that we are reincarnated down here at this particular time because ain't nobody else got nothing on their damn mind. I don't give a damn where you go. Just few pieces in the Caribbean, couple of brothers in the Caribbean, Africa and all, but as far as the whole Caribbean, it's nothing. As far as whole Africa, it's nothing. And a lot of America, but there's more conscious people here than anything, and we leading the head and leading the forefront of this particular thing. So now in Robert Graves' book, he talks about Heru and the golden fleece. In Heru, which is the Christ figure in Egypt, it says the fleece was a solar symbol. It was, as well as it took the concept of Horus once again. Horus in the Egyptian is Heru. From Wallace Budge learns that Heru is the ancient god or the ancient sun god, and Heru means face. We go back to King David, it says the face of God, Penuel or pineal. And consider the following. Heru is the falcon hawk that presided over a Caucasian ceremony named the circle, in which Medea, who was Medea's aunt, and it says this: the Greek sun god Helios was also a stable, was also said to have a stable of horses at Caucasus, and have manifested a place where there is aroused every morning. Caucasus is the place or the residence of the Greek, of the golden fleece. We know now, and what I'm saying about this word Caucasus, because they said that he would find the golden fleece at the end of the earth in a place called Caucasus. And Caucasus is Caucasus, Caucasian. And because Caucasians are running this, they're talking about America at this time, because this is the New England. Now, the golden fleece here bears witness to the same thing in this particular Asclepius papyrus, where it talks about there will be a city built at the end of the earth. And all right, at the end of the earth. Heru, hero means a race between gods and men. Now, what does that mean? Heru is also represented as the pineal gland in you, because it's the great face of God inside of you. And that pineal gland is nothing but a doorway between your higher self and your lower self. Your lower self is just the manly self. Your higher self is your God self, because we are all gods. So the race between gods and man is talking about that bridge, and that's the pineal area. And the melanin is the substance that balances out, that comes to develop that out, that brings in that God energy and all. Heru is also the Greek word Aaron, which means woolen fleece. So now woolen fleece, the fleece, they're talking about this golden fleece, but then they say woolen fleece, which means the hair of Heru. So we're talking about woolen fleece, we're talking about black hair. So the golden fleece is talking about, it's metaphysical to say that I got to get back my father's kingdom. This man has come into my father's home and taken the kingdom, which is the white man. Well, how do you get back the kingdom? I got to tap into the golden fleece, which is the woolen fleece, which is talking about melanin, and it's also talking about the Godhead, which is the head of God. Also, what it's also talking about, too. Heru is Greek, Hercules, which means also the glory of Hera. That's what Hercules means. Hera derived from Heru. Heru is related to the word Sirius, which gives us Sirius in Sanskrit is Sir, or Surya, or Seru, which means hero or the face of God, or the golden fleece, which is also the pineal gland. So what this thing is actually dealing with here when you're talking about the fleece is, number one, it's a combination of a lot of things. But if we talk about energy, Sirius, the star Sirius, which is also in the Quran and on the head of Honorable Elijah Muhammad's cap and the star and the flag, is also the pineal gland is on the inside of you, which is also the golden fleece also, too. That is in the land of Caucasus, because they're talking about here, because we're the ones that's being turned on, and the first one to get the third eye. Because in this particular book, the Holy Kabbalah, they say, well, who will be the first Hebrews? Well, we know the Hebrews, Egyptians, and all of that is talking about the black people, the original people. They said, well, the Hebrews that will get out of this, the first Metatron, which is the angel that they're dealing with, will be the ones that's in the desert. Now we know the desert, the wilderness, the land of the beast, the United States is all the forest, the swamp, all of those particular things are a hideous place to talk about a land of oppression, which the desert is symbolic for a land of slavery or bondage. In this case, that's the United States of America and all. During the interval, stay in carcass, which is the fleece, which is black people staying here. The fleece rested in the grove of Arus, which is Mars. So Mars plays a particular part. And I think I've broken this mission. I'll go into it in a few minutes on what this is, because Mars is the red planet. But I'm going to break some mysteries on a few minutes on what that means. Mars, Heru, is the key to the Mars mystery. The golden fleece being Osiris is also a form of the golden fleece. Heru or Horus is a form of the golden fleece. Ra is a form of the golden fleece. Egypt is sometimes represented as a filleted ram skin on a pole, which if you see the staff of Tahuti, the top of the pole is something that's at the top of the pole. That's the black dot. That's talking about the head form, and the ram, the lamb, the ram of God, all of that. In Christianity, the golden fleece would be the ram. You see what I'm saying? Ra is represented as a ram in Egypt, or Pan. You see what I'm saying? So these are different symbologies. Is also talking about the supreme power of God, which is also the melanin power. They can break this down. Sometimes represented as a filleted ram skin on a pole, also too. They talk about that in this guy's book called The Archetypes of the Underworld by Bruce Rux. Bruce Rux, Archetypes of the Underworld, big thick book. Deals with a lot of mysteries on Mars also too. But like I said, also the Golden Fleece. There's a whole book on the Golden Fleece by Robert Graves. It gives a definitive study, as well as the two books Greek Myths by Robert Graves, Volume 1 and Volume 2, but now they got two combined. But also, the Golden Fleece is in different legends. In the Native American, it's called the City of Gold, El Dorado. Then you see why El Dorado is very popular among the brothers in the 70s with the car, which in actuality, they're only two American automobiles that can go for any type of money in tip-top shape. Convertible El Dorado and the Corvette. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, as far as all-time American standards amongst all other cars. To this day, it's $19,000 to buy a convertible El Dorado 1972, from 1971 or 72 up to 76 when they made the last convertible. It's still $19,000. But going back to this, in tip-top shape. Going back to this, the City of Gold, El Dorado, the white boy was, the Indians told him of a mythology. They said that the mythology is there's a city of gold called El Dorado. So for years, for 400 years, all of the settlers tried to find this city of gold El Dorado, which they never could find. Found a lot of other shit, but they couldn't find the city of gold El Dorado. Because the city of gold was metaphysical. It was talking about the apex of the soul, El Dorado, which is also talking about Melanin, or Jerusalem, or also heaven, or the upper region of the brain area, that God energy, El Dorado, was also talking about. So we know that the Mars mystery that went down, the government named the Trojan Sojourner Thru. You know what I'm saying? Now, in the Calder mystery, in the book Holy Blood, Holy Grail, the Calders, which was a group of black people also that went up into Europe and was teaching a certain thing. And you could also, they mentioned the Calders in that book, The Advocate, where they show how white people started. They showed the origins of how these whites, the Europeans, thought that black people was the devil. In that movie, The Advocate, 1985, you know, with the gypsy girl and all. And a whole lot of shit went down in that movie. how savage the white people were. But they also mentioned the Calvins up in that particular part too. But one of the Calvins said that one of their gods was called Rex Mundi. Now Rex Mundi is called a Dalroth in Gnosticism. He's got different names from whatever, and that's that evil entity, which his counterfeit spirit is supposed to be the white man. Now, if you understand how energy goes, the God that is supposed to be of the universe is now transferred himself down here on earth. So this is the home of the gods, just like Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. In this Gnostic scripture right here on the first part, the Hermetic thing, they say that the gods transferred themselves. That's the third line. Heaven is transferred now to earth below. That's their witness to the prophecy of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But on the other hand, it's the same thing happened with that other deity, that evil deity. He transferred himself below also too when he literally tricked Yakub, or actually the evil influence he had over Yakub in creating this doggone white boy. In creating this white boy. But his name is also in the Calvin's Rex Mundi. A lot of stuff, you get the little book Holy Blood, Holy Grail, you will see it in there. Also, your Yakub mystery is also locked up in this book. Also, the African origins of civilization, myth, and reality, Sheikh After Diop, Mercer Cook translation. In here, they go into the whole Tamahu, which is probably the most you can read on the Tamahu is in the book by Diop. But he took the one page out on where they said that they were created white people, and the Egyptians are an ancient race of people. The Egyptians, well, they just say the Sudi and the Rudi, which is talking about an ancient race of people, created the Tamahu. So he took that out and married to the white woman, but it's in this book, the completion of the whole Tamahu story. And that particular page, what he took out is in Gerald Master's Book of the Beginnings, Volume 1. Is in that particular Book of the Beginnings, Volume 1. But they said that Mars had to overcome the same tyranny that we got to overcome on here. It's like all of the other planets on down had to overcome this same damn fucked up shit of a imperial rulership. But the Earth being the final frontier. But the men on Mars used to worship the black man on Earth. Because they knew that we were the final frontier. Because even though they had to overcome, they threw some stuff off. But ultimately, the whole universal sector can't be free until the black man on earth is free. So they used to worship us. Here, these 8-foot-tall men, black men and black women on Mars, used to worship us as their God. You see what I'm saying? So that ought to tell us something about ourselves when another mother on another planet used to worship us. Yeah, they 8 feet tall and used to worship us. Which, how is it that the white man gonna show us all these damn rocks on Mars, but took pictures of the Sedona face on Mars in 1976? And will only go there to show us a bunch of damn rocks. That don't make no sense. When the world is ending up and your time is losing and is ending up and you got a big old sphinx over there. That would have been far more interesting in the first place. So to say, if they even on Mars are, they might have put another probe up there anyway. But this is the key. Mars is the red planet, supposedly, which deals with the golem mystery. The golem is supposed to be this particular monster that the Hebrew builds and put the word of God in his mouth. That's the same opening up the open the mouth ceremony. And this particular monster is able to do its master's bidding and can't be killed not unless the master take the word out the mouth. It's metaphysical also talking about your higher spirit and how this golem can come in and kill anything. But it's also talking about it's made of clay. Now, the clay is supposed to be the mud that fashions Adam and the whole 9 yards, but it's also got something to do with a prophecy in these days based on clay. Now, Honorable Elijah Muhammad was born in Sandersville, Georgia, and Georgia is key for its clay, as well as South Carolina, but now we even know that there's a clay belt that runs across the earth, and even in Africa, there's a section of Africa that got clay. That red clay that they're talking about the same Mars mystery. It's got a, the Jamaicans got it too. And it's got something to do with this clay. And that clay has something to do with melanin. I haven't broken the seed on this thing yet. But I know the mystery. Well, I know it has something to do with the melanin because this is the top rabbi from Tel Aviv, Gershom Struler. And in here he goes into the whole last chapter of his book is the idea of the golem. Now, this is the mystery. This book is called On the Kabbalah and Its Symbolism. On the Kabbalah and Its Symbolism. Now, in here, the contents are religion, authority, and mysticism. The meaning of the Torah in Jewish mysticism. Kabbalah and myth. Traditional new creation. The ritual of the Kabbalists. And the last chapter is the idea of the golem, where he goes in and says that the golem has something to do with the mud that fashioned Adam. So now we understand that what he's really saying to the white Hebrews is that when it comes down from all of this shit and it breaks down the clay, mud, stone, he's talking about melanin. You see what I'm saying? So you got to understand, even in the contents of the book, it reads like what they call a song or poetic type of adventure, where drama that corresponds to the last final frontier. And in the last final frontier of the book is the golem. Now, Roddy McDowell did a movie in 1967 called The Golem. They even had one on X-Files, The Golem, as well as the movie, the movie on the history of the Moors, the cartoon on the history of the Moors in Spain, Gargoyles, every day at 3:30 is the black Moor, the Gargoyles, who taught the white man how to be civilized the second time when they went up into Spain and the white man turned on them. So that's what your Gargoyles is, Goliath and all of them. And that's what it is. It's the Moors and stuff like that. But they had the golem on that particular part. But in here, what I'm trying to show you is the golem is talking about melanin, or the dark night of the soul, or the Kaaba, the black Kaaba, which is the Kaaba in the book Hamlet's Mill. Now, Hamlet is a form of Horace. So these white people in 1967, you see, 1967, white people got together and they proved that the mythology from around the world was advanced physics and science. And they wrote a book called Hamlet's Mill. But there's a section in there where they talk about that the Kaaba, this black stone, came from Saturn. But it's nothing but a great cosmic carbon grain of melanin. The white boys went and stole a piece of the Kaaba in like 1912 and took it back and examined it, and it was nothing but just a straight melanin, carbon. And they said it's a meteorite. It fell from heaven. Now these white people, now you got to understand the symbology on what they're talking about here. I want to follow you. These white people, since the spring of the year, they've been talking about a meteor falling to earth to kill us. That's what they're talking about. A meteor falling to earth to kill us. They done had it on Discovery Channel. They done had it on NBC. They done had 2 or 3 movies about meteors. And then they even had it on the Trinity broadcast and that TBN, which was on TBN and the one with Pat Robertson station. That KKK motherfucker. They even had it on his thing about this media, all this shit about this media. It ain't got shit to do with no media falling. Hell, the media could have fell on this motherfucker years ago. That's right. It ain't got nothing to do with that. The media is pure carbon, and the pure carbon is talking about the melanin inside of you. So if the melanin inside of one of us blows up, and the force that binds all of us together, and we all blow up or get back to our God's realm, and that God energy That is a meteor falling to earth. It just fell to earth a couple of million years ago, and it ain't exploded yet. You get the science on this thing? So when they're talking about this meteor, they're talking about melanin and what the mysteries of melanin can do, which is the last frontier. So when he talks about clay, mud, and he talks about the golem, and it's the last chapter in the book on the Kabbalah, you know he's talking about melanin. He won't come out and say melanin. He'll come out and say golem. You see? But in the chapter on the golem, he said, but I'm going to go deep into this shit and go into the first mud or clay of Adam. Clay Adam is not, the atom is melanin. You see the science? Now, this is the same white boy that wrote the Kabbalah that says that man is the manifestation of God. What God does in the unmanifest, he gives the man to do, he gives the man in the order how to do his shit. God can't do shit now unless the man do it. You can be bad as shit, but you ain't the hit man. You got to hire the hit man. The man is the acting agent that perfects God's plan. And it can't be broken. That's just the law. But he also is the same man that goes and says, but it cannot be done without a Neoplatonic formula. And Neoplatonism is Hermeticism, and Hermeticism is alchemy, and alchemy is the study of melanin. But they are crafty devils, and they go on to play on words. And if you don't know what it is, you'll just think it's a whole bunch of philosophy. So when he goes and gives the whole shit about the Kabbalah, you know, and goes through all of this about Israel, the myth, all this stuff here, and goes down to the end and says, I'll come down to one fucking stone, or one stone monster, which is your higher self, the golem. Then you understand what's going on, how he's doing this shit. And then it plays in with this whole media thing. Then it plays in with this whole Mars thing, in the red clay. And then Mars attacks the movie. That's how this whole shit is. It's all symbology. You get it? On what's really going down here. It's symbology. The rise of the star of the Egyptians, or the Cushites, was called the Sed Festival. The Sed Festival, or the Set Festival, was known by the Etruscans. Now, they said that Sirius rose in the summer. So they had a festival every year called the Set Festival, or the Sed Festival. In Greece, the original Etruscan black people used to have one, and they called it the Olympics. You see. So, in Atlanta, they slash Atlantis, which because the real history of Atlanta, they say it came from up under the water. That's the real history. There was a land that came from up under the water. It talks about they did a ritual to Zeus at the 1996 Olympics, the opening ceremony. They did a ritual to Zeus, and Zeus is Osiris. You see what I'm saying? God of the perfect black. They did a ritual last summer. You see what I'm saying? Somehow try to get on the good side so they can save their ass. You know, if we praise him, maybe. They think that way. But that ritual is set forth to wake shit up. Because they did it in the cotton land of the South. And all the life when the black man wakes up in the South, it's all over. You see what I'm saying? So they did it in the cotton land of the land of slavery. And they did a ritual. Can you understand? You got the land of slavery. You see what I'm saying? And even when we had the great movements of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even Adam Clayton Powell, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, the South only had a movement of Uncle Tom type movement of them Martin Luther King shit. And then you gonna roll up in there in the 90s and do a damn ritual to Osiris? You see what I'm saying? Osiris for Allah, same shit all in all. You gonna do a damn ritual of that shit in the South, in the Jim Crow South? That's some amazing shit. We don't understand the magnitude of something. You know, here's the place where they hung motherfucking niggas up, and you gonna do a damn ritual right up the damn street from a fucking slave auction place. got the underground Atlanta down there. That's where they used to auction off slaves. That's where now they opened it up back up in 89. It's full of white people. White people flying all in to go to the underground. Ain't nothing but a little bullshit mall up under the ground. Ain't shit, really. You know, old stores. Now, ain't nothing down there but black people. But what it was is, there's slaves was auctioned off there, and the damn ancestors won't let the crackers come down there now. So it's full of Negroes. But it's a slave auction block, and right up the street is the damn new Olympic Stadium. And you're going to do a ritual to Osiris. You see what I'm saying? That's some amazing shit that actually went on July 19th. Number 19, that's when they did it. You see what I'm saying? It's when they did that actual, what you call it. So that's very key that you understand that at this particular time on what is actually going on. Now, in the Gospel of Thomas, they ask, tell us what heaven is like. The Jesus there, which is, like Muhammad said, that there was another motherfucker came up in faith. The Jesus and threw everybody off. The real one was supposed to come in the last days. That's why you can't get a real Jew to even believe in that bullshit because you know what time it is. But the real Jesus saying in the Gospel of Thomas, dug up in 1945, the ones that they weren't able to manipulate in the Conference of Nicaea, says, tell us what heaven is like. He said heaven is like a mustard seed. It's as small as a grain of mustard seed. But it's all around you, but you can't see because you're drunk. But the key is that mustard seed also is locked up in the mystery of Sirius B. Because the Dogon say the same thing. They say Sirius B is heaven, and it's the smallest thing in the universe, but it's the most heaviest thing in the universe. Right in the Sirius mystery book. So they're talking about the mustard seed, and it's the smallest thing in the universe. But that mustard seed is, like I told you last night, is inside of you. It's one little small little seed, a little atom. And an atom is invisible. Smallest thing in the universe. The same type of science of what they're dealing with here. You see what I'm saying? You got Sirius A. So in this particular little thing here, you will always see in Egypt, you will see a circle with a dot in it. The circle represents Sirius A. The dot represents Sirius B. And also Sirius B equals the mustard seed, but that's also in your head. Once this is ignited, the Sirius A comes up in your crown chakra, and that's how you get that halo. The halo is coming from the mustard seed on the inside of you, and that's the Christian mystery, but that's the mystery, and once this is ignited. But that's the smallest thing in the universe that the Dogon is talking about, which is the same thing that's verified and bear witness in the Gnostic scriptures, Gospel of Thomas. Gospel of Thomas. Now, also, it's on page 24 in here. It's the smallest thing in the universe in Robert Temple's book. Also, I told you about J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and I told you that was one of the books that the Illuminati or the government told them to write the history of the black man and put it in those particular chronicles also, as well as Star Wars and Doom. But also Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien. The rings is also talking about consciousness. Saturn is known as Satan, or Sut-on, which is also Saturn, which is the black planet, which is talking about pure carbon. And you got a ring around Saturn, and from the black dot, you get the rings, and you get the silver rings of consciousness. So we are called Lords of the Rings, because we have several rings of consciousness. White man has one ring of consciousness. So what happens is when they give you religion under dogma style, they tell you to bow down and worship something on a slave manner of worshiping, it shut down the other rings of consciousness because you're only dealing with one ring. So you're like white people. White people have a mock nuclei. The nuclei is here. They have a mock nuclei. So it's in this thing you bought today. It breaks it down in here. They have a mock nuclei with one ring of consciousness on page 2 of the evil beings, the non-permanent atoms. So when you're dealing with, somebody's thing cut off. So when you are dealing with
What book is that?
hmm?
Where they talking about the non-permanent animals?
This is coming from a guy named Capelloni.
From evil?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, right,
Volume 1 and 2?
yeah.
I just said there's 3, 4, and 5.
I think they condensed them. I think what yeah, it might be, but oh, okay, okay. Anyway, the ring of consciousness. If we put you on